everyone. Welcome to day 17 of the 26 Days to Greatness Challenge. Super excited to have you guys back. Today's topic for Q is quiz creation with Mellissa Seaman. Mellissa is a Stanford-educated former business litigation attorney turned intuitive business strategist. She has worked with Fortune 100 executives, top Silicon Valley tech creatives, and innovative entrepreneurs worldwide, teaching them how to integrate their intellect and intuition to unlock their genius. She also has an online business school for creative business owners called Channel Your Genius Academy, and her soul gift quiz has helped over 10,000 people worldwide to identify their unique genius. Wow. Mellissa, I cannot express how excited I am to have you on here today to kind of talk about this unique and fun topic that no other experts have talked about so far yet. So with that being said, thank you, Mellissa, for being on here and sharing your expertise.
Oh, thank you, Miko. I'm so happy to be here. I light up when I see your face. You have so much good, like beaming, happy energy that we all get to enjoy. Thank you for being here, and thank you for bringing such great, intelligent topics and useful tools for all of us. I feel like it's so generous.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Mellissa. And thank you for being here. Like, I could not have done this without experts like you. So let's dive into this interview. Before we talk about quiz creation and what does that even mean, how do we use it, tell our audience a little bit more about who Mellissa is. How did you went from being an attorney to being a business strategist? That's like
I know. It's yeah, you know, when I was a lawyer, I was happy. I was happy as a lawyer. I was a leader in my Catholic church, and I was a mom to a little baby, and I was helping female business owners as a lawyer to create partnerships and to, you know, do businessy transactional stuff. And before that, I had been a litigator in the courtroom. My dad was a judge, so that was my background, was really like lawyering. and then when I gave birth to my daughter in the year 2000, I had sort of this intuitive wake up. I had a lot of intuitive abilities woke up in me. And while I'd always been a pretty creative person, I'd always been into improv and like really creative theater and stuff like that. What happened next was just a radical change. Like I could suddenly see energy, and I could suddenly get messages for people, and I could suddenly have dreams that were things that were going to happen and stuff like that, that frankly I'd never believed in to that level. So it was awkward. It was super awkward. And I just kind of, you know, I just dove into it, and I started looking around and trying to find, you know, who understands this stuff. And I found a lot of like what I would have called woo-woo teachers. You know, lots of really like woo people were talking all this language I didn't understand, and trying to make sense of what was happening for me. It was a struggle. And then with my parents, I've always been super close to my parents. And when I would describe what was happening with me to my parents, they're like, oh, so you're hearing voices and you're, you know, this doesn't fit inside the box of the church. Like this doesn't fit inside what we've been learning. And this is confusing and this is scary. And at one point, my mom even was concerned, you know, that I might need an exorcism. I was like, it was shocking. And it took a couple years before I could translate what this was that was opening up inside of me for the real world. And it's taken even longer to figure out how to do that in the framework of business. And so that's my deep area of interest and expertise, is how do we take these gifts that we have, that now I realize we all have these gifts. We all have deep gut feelings. We all have feelings that we're guided to do certain things. And for some of us, the volume is on low, and for some of us, the volume is on high. And that's what happened to me, is the volume just got super high, super fast with the birth of my daughter. But I guess what I'm realizing is that even when you have this deeply transformative kind of gift, you gotta make sense of it. And it's tricky, and a big part of our role as entrepreneurs, especially creative, you know, possibly intuitive entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of intuitively gifted entrepreneurs, and I work with a lot of intuitively gifted founders, visionary tech founders, you know, and executives who kind of feel like they have to keep their intuitive gifts on the down low.
Mm-hmm.
And so either way, I feel like our big challenge, and the challenge that I want to speak to today with quiz creation, is how do we make sense of the deep stuff? And how do we create deep rapport with those clients that are really meant to work with us, without freaking them out or making them feel dumb for not knowing our woo-woo words, or, you know, without making it sound weirder than it needs to sound? Because my truth is, I really believe that we're all in our best moments. We're like open channels for the genius that flows through us. You know, our best ideas, they come to us when we're just standing in the shower, when we're finally relaxed, or they come to us when we're just get out of the way. You know, we just have to get out of the way sometimes. So all of this and more. So that's my basic story of how I went from being a Stanford-educated, you know, litigation attorney, business lawyer, to being one of these weirdo woo-woo people who can tell.
It's like a upside down, totally different.
You know, what are you gonna do? And but I guess as a pragmatist, I'm like, okay, I can, if someone asks me to, I can see into them, and I can see their deepest gift, and I can see where they're not yet expressed, and I can see how their energies move differently than other people's. But then with my lawyer self, I can unpack that and say, wow, okay, this niche, this market, this corner of the market is waiting for you. Or, oh, I know how we should use this gift. You know, here are some options for different ways of doing business. And that's when I feel like all that intuitive woo stuff, when we can leverage that stuff and have it make sense and have it land with other people and create the change that we really need to change in the world right now, then we're good. You know, when people are willing to pay you for it, it's because they understand what you're giving them. So that's the crux of the challenge, you know, and that's also, you know, that's the crux of my story. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, okay, Mellissa, I'm jumping in because I'm so excited, because like I totally relate to everything that you just shared. I feel like I'm very intuitive. Like I'm someone, like I know what I'm here to do. It's something like on the intangible side, like the spiritual, the energy. But like exactly like you said, how do we make sense of something that we can see, or even translate that into the world and say like, hey, I can help you with this specific process or problem. So with your gift, like coming from the lawyer background, you can be analytical, you can be logical, kind of turn that into a system to support someone. So I cannot wait to dive into this topic. Yes. So before we get into that, like Mellissa, why quiz creation? Like it could be any other type of process to translate the intangible into something tangible, but why quiz creation?
You think so, right? But honestly, Miko, I searched for 10 years or 15 years for the right way, for the right business model or structure, especially for drawing new clients. So here I am, knowing that I'm here to work with people who are generally overeducated, professionals, big egos, visionaries, who are having a deep experience of awakening that they want to bring forward to the world, their deepest gifts, like you, right? And if I come to them and I'm like, hey, I am a soul awakening, purpose, you know, opening, revealing woo-woo girl who can read you and tell you your things, they're like, whoa, you know, because they're freaking, I feel like whatever they're like, no, thank you.
No thanks.
No, thank you. On the other hand, if I can come to someone like you, which if with your permission, I'll do right now, like
Yeah.
I said at the beginning of the call that you've got this like radiant joy energy about you. In my system, you're a transmitter. So what that means is you're the type of person who has always been magnetic with other people. And you're like a light that beams out 24/7. And whether someone's paying you or not, you're still beaming light out 24/7.
Yes.
And so transmitters are, it's the soul gift transmitter. So my system is called the soul gift system. My quiz is called soul gift quiz. And there's 5 different types of gifts. Transmitter is one of them. Transmitters are the souls who came here to simply emanate a certain energy. And with you, it's like this upliftment and this weaving connection. And that's what you bring, right? So when I'm able to say that to you, even though we don't know each other well, you can be like, oh, Mellissa gets something about me right now. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of deep. Well, you would get that just by taking what seems at first like a silly little quiz. You know, it's a 7 questions, multiple choice with pictures, takes 2 minutes to take, super easy, but you would learn that you're a transmitter. And when you'd read it, the results, what I just told you, the basic results, like I just told you, you'd go, oh. And I would say stuff like, you know, transmitters have always felt their whole lives like they should get paid just for being them, because they're constantly being them and people are constantly benefiting from that.
Yeah.
Other types are not like that. So I'm a messenger type, which means I'm a translator. I'm a speaker, I'm a writer, and other people I'm sure who are watching this know like, oh yeah, I'm a messenger, I'm a wordsmith, you know, you can't shut me up. I hate it when people silence me. It's like the worst thing if you interrupt or silence, you know, that kind of feeling. Yeah. And so messengers are here to bring wisdom through, and they need people to understand them. So there's 3 other types. I won't go all the way into them because you guys can take the quiz and learn about them on your own, no big deal. But I want you to understand that having a system like this provides the entry conversation, right? To talk about something quite deep or to talk about something otherwise complex. And that's why we use a quiz, is because it's like the entry to a conversation where the first thing that you do is you connect with the person and you learn more about them. And too many marketing conversations are the opposite. It's like, I'm Mellissa, I'm so cool. I went to Stanford, I'm so smart. I live on a farm, I milk goats, I'm awesome. And people are like, oh, nice, but who cares? Like, I'm busy. With the quiz, it starts with you. It's like you, Miko, transmitter, gifted one, radiant, emergent light. Like, whew, no matter what she's doing, she lights people up. Oh, okay, now we both know something about each other. So that's why the quiz.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, I'm seeing it, I'm feeling how it's working while you were explaining that. Yeah, because when you immediately, you told me a little bit more about myself, like, oh my gosh, I relate to this. Like, Mellissa knows me already, even though this is the first time you actually see each other on camera. And and like you said, it's like an opening conversation to something deeper. Because when you were explaining that about me, immediately my thought was thinking, oh my gosh, she's right. Because my vision is like, I want to stand in front of someone just beaming out love and joy and be this light for everyone. I want to talk about my vision. So
totally. And that's it. And so look at what you've done here. You've created an excuse for us to pay you and ignore you. And it's like you've created with this class, and I'm sure with other things you do, what I would say about transmitters is you've given us an excuse to pay you. Thank you for giving us an excuse, because we should be paying you, but we need an excuse. So when you have a quiz, when you have a system, so there's a few aspects of building a quiz that I want to share with everybody so that you can, you know, feel into this, and you might want to create your own quiz. Just so you know, like right now, my soul gift quiz, it gets about 1,000 new qualified leads a month. And my ad spend is under $200 for that. So quizzes are like just for the bean counters in the club, like, please know that a good engaging, and it needs to be an engaging quiz, not like, which color are you? Like, that'll get a lot of hits, but those aren't qualified clients. What are you doing, right? So the key to having a great quiz that calls in your people is to have a great system underneath it. Okay, so you have to have a system underneath it. The bad news is creating a system, you have to be strategic, and you need to go deeper into your own work to understand it. I help people create their systems. I help people design quizzes a lot, and it's all about that system. The good news is, once you know that system under your work, it opens doors for all your content. All your content suddenly makes sense. You can do, of course, you can do targeted emails and stuff like that. So I can send emails just to my transmitters, so I can speak to them in their own language about whatever I'm offering. I can create product that's just for my transmitters. I can do invitations for retreats that are just for my transmitters. There's Facebook groups just for my transmitters that the transmitters created. So it creates like a lot of community. All of those benefits spring from a really brilliant system. Okay, so that's the number one big tip for creating a quiz. Underneath it is the system. Let me tell you a little bit about that system. Like my system, if you're going to do a personality type quiz, which is the most attractive quiz for most people, because we all want to be typed. We all want to be like, tell me more about me, tell me what type I am. And so you want to think about the types of people who come to your business, who you see walk into your office. The different types at a deep level. Oh, he's one of those types. Oh, she's one of those types. When you have those kind of eye roll, oh, this type of person. And you want to find 3 to 7, 7's a lot. I kind of like 5, quite frankly, 3 or 5 types of people who have your niche issue or who could possibly be approaching you. And you want to make at least one of the types a type that you generally won't work with. Because your quiz isn't just about attracting everybody. Your quiz is about determining who are your people. Who are the people that you really want to work with? You want to draw them and tag them. And you want them, honestly, to tag themselves. As they're reading your material, you want them to go, oh my gosh. So I usually am working with transmitters, number one, or people who have what I would call a transmitter secondary gift. Like, I'm a messenger, but right underneath that, I'm all transmitter, right? Or creators, who are the systems people, designers, artists, and also the lawyers and CFOs and the people who are about systems and creating. The types that I don't work with as often are researchers, who are the super analytical folks who just bring everything through them and make perfect sense. And the explorers, who are just the world explorers, like they're constantly pushing the edges of everything, including relationships and everything. They don't usually sit still long enough to work with me. But, and so by knowing that, by having a system where I have 5 types, and my primary type that really loves working with me, the type that I can serve better than anybody, is the transmitters. So now as they come in and take that quiz, I can have conversations with them via email, via automated email, that feel really deep, that are really deep. Because as I write that stuff, I really mean it. But is it me writing to each and every person? Not with my fingers like I did, I wrote it once and it's still going out. So that's the benefit of having a really potent system. When you have a system, you also have a book, you have a podcast, you have your system for your quiz becomes your system for a lot of other things. And you realize, this really helps.
So it's like the ultimate foundation. And I can only imagine by creating that system for the quiz, it will really give us a lot of clarity around the work that we are even doing and the problems that we're solving. But I love how this is pretty much with the quiz, it's like we are attracting self-selected clients who resonate exactly what you're giving out, and they say this is me, and then you don't even need to go. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So like this system that you emphasize is so
Mhm.
important. Like, does it take a long time to create that system?
It doesn't necessarily. I think it's the concept that when you
Mhm.
get the concept, and you can start to unpack it. It depends on what type of thinker you are. See,
Mhm.
I studied social psychology at Stanford. So I did small group research. I created surveys. So this is like quiz making is just part of, I'm savant with it because it's in me, right?
Mhm.
It's not your thing. So that's why some people will hire me or watch one of my, trainings on it. In fact, I'll share a training with you guys. I'm realizing I've got a training that I can share with you guys that shows you step by step how to create it. That's a longer training that we don't have time for now.
Mhm.
And I'll make that possible for you. Just like you'll take the quiz and then you'll email me and I'll shoot it off to you. No big deal.
Thank you.
But yeah, because it's a way of thinking. And I bet a bunch of smart people who are watching this will go, oh, I could do that. I could do that. And it might be that you could do that for someone else.
Mhm.
But then when you try to go do it for yourself, it might be trickier. So that's my answer there. Right. And
Yeah,
yeah, so
because I
sometimes it
asked,
takes a little bit of help.
right, right.
But the
It's
more
like,
quizzes you take and you learn, and as you take my quiz, you'll see, oh, I see what she did there. You'll start to understand what makes a great system.
Mhm.
It's that people really recognize themselves in each of those types, that they go, oh my gosh, she nailed me. That those types should feel like a friend reflecting you.
Mhm.
They're never going to be negative. You're never going to be like, oh, you're the explorer type. That means you can't sit still. Bad girl. They're always going to be like, wow, you're the explorer types. Thank you for doing all your travels and all your adventures, because it's the explorers that open past the box. They're the ones who show us how we can grow beyond our limits. So
Mhm.
just because they're not necessarily the people who resonate with me every time doesn't mean I don't appreciate them and reflect them well in the process, right? So that's important in the system, is for each one of these archetypes, because that's what they really are. They're like archetypes of different people who could be approaching you. That you're kind and that you describe them like you deeply know them,
Mhm.
and that you point to their strengths as well as their weaknesses. Yeah, there's some more tips that I'll get to with like step 2 and 3 that'll elucidate even more about the system.
Got it, got it. Yeah, the reason why I asked Melissa is because the word system scares me. I don't want to. I don't
Oh,
want
you are a transmitter. Boom.
to. I'm not
Then
an
you should,
analytical person.
right. Well, then you should think about the archetypes. The
Yeah.
archetypes of the people, because sometimes you'll have a client who will come to you and they'll be like, I don't think you can help me, or whatever. There's a certain personality type, or you'll have,
Mhm.
and they have different, each one of the archetypes in your system, you should be able to specify what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what stories are they likely telling themselves, like what is their deepest longing, what's their deepest fear. And
Mhm.
these are the kinds of questions that I ask myself about each type on an archetype system until we drill down to the type, and
Yeah.
I've never met a business person. I don't know, I've designed probably 35 quizzes. It's not like my full-time thing, but if it's somebody who's got a kind of work that I know is going to be hard to market without a quiz, I'll get all excited about it and then I'll help them design one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so you drill down until they just come to life, and then the archetype descriptions, when you really get down to it, should make you cry a little, should make you like feel.
Mhm.
When I've really described the strengths and the weaknesses of each one of these types, I can feel the people in my life who fit those categories, who I deeply love, and I feel for them.
Yeah.
And that's the essence of what I call compassion-based marketing.
I love.
Compassion-based marketing.
Mhm.
And a quiz is an opening to a compassion-based conversation with your potential clients. Compassion-based, where you feel for them, where you say, look, it looks like you're a transmitter. I just want to be the one to thank you for shining your light 24/7 to the world, because I know that that part of you has been invisible for your whole life, and that you have probably been told to stop taking up so much energy or space, or stop being a show off just because you're standing in the room. And I apologize on behalf of your parents and everybody who didn't get what you really were. And I want to thank you for being here. And I want to say that if we were living in a different kind of culture, you might have been identified as a transmitter in an early age and brought to the temple and fed and taught and given whatever you needed in order to build your transmission. And you would have been revered and thanked and rewarded for this gift that you are. And
I hope
sorry.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Mellissa. And if there's any listeners listening right now who's also a transmitter, I hope you guys are seeing how Mellissa is working her magic. It works. It totally works.
Well, and it's working, but it's also just like, this is part of my soul's purpose here, is to acknowledge unseen transmitters. Yeah. So for me, it's like, it's marketing, I do want to make my gifts available to the gifted ones that I'm here for. Yeah. But more than that, every time I send out a message, or even in acknowledging you, and thereby acknowledging all the transmitters that are watching, I'm fulfilling my purpose. That feels amazing to me. It doesn't matter at that point to me. Are you going to buy my thing or not? Life is too short to focus only on how many widgets we're selling.
Yeah.
So those of us, and this is true, for me, I tend to draw and work with people who have that sort of approach to business, where it's like, well, look, I'm actually here to bring my gifts in the world. And if business is the best way to do that, okay, great, I'll do business, but they're not generally the type of people that are like, oh, I can't wait to sell $1 million. They're more like, oh, if selling $1 million means that I can do what my soul came here to do, then okay, let's sell $1 million. That sounds fun, because I like weekly massage. Okay.
This is so fun. I feel like, Mellissa, you know me. So, and this really shows how much you do know your types, like the types that you have created. You really speak into that. So I would love to learn the next step. So after number one is the systems that need to be in place. What is the second step?
So the second step, once you know the systems and you've got a good list of your archetypes, let's say there's 5, and you know their strengths and their weaknesses and their personality types and how they're different. Yeah. Now you're ready to build your short quiz. I'd recommend that your short quiz be short. Under 10 questions. I like 7 questions. Some quizzes we've built have had only 5 questions. And because you know your 5 answers so well, your 5 archetypes so well, they're not that hard to build. You want to ask 5 or 7 questions that are multiple choice. So you might ask, which one of these answers describes your worst fear, for example? In my case, letter A might mean transmitter, letter B might be what a creator would say, letter C might be what a messenger would say, and so forth, right? So then when they choose that answer, they get a point towards being a creator or whatever answer they choose. That's the way the questions work. It's important that you keep the question short and the answers short. That may sound like, oh, this will be easier. Actually, as you know, if you've done any copywriting, keeping it short takes a little more strategy to get the essence and make it clear. But the biggest mistake people make when they're building a quiz is they do compound sentences. Remember what compound sentences means, everybody? That's sentences with a big and in it. So it's like, question, what would be your deepest fear and the thing that would make you worry most about how to make money? You've already lost them because you just asked 2 questions, not 1, right? So don't do compound, don't do and, just one thing. Which one describes best your deepest fear? Or what sounds most like your relationship with money, you know? So there's certain ways to ask. And actually in the class, I'll give you guys the recording to a masterclass I led in this. And inside the masterclass, there's a list of questions. There's a list of how to do your archetypes. Like, it's all in there. It's an actual teaching class. I promise you, it's not one of those bait and switch things. Okay. And so you keep it short, you keep it clear. And those 5 answers should be really distinct, really different, so that, you know, if somebody answers A, you know, they're a transmitter, or whatever your types are. And with 5 or 7 questions, as long as the answers to each one are very distinct, you'll get a good result, you know, because they'll have to answer a majority one way or another. And you can use quiz systems. Like, there's a lot of quiz platforms. I use TryInteract. I have also used Outgrow. We've used different ones, but you'll find those, that's its own ball of wax. Like, I can't teach you like how to implement it all, but I can tell you that they all have ways for you to map the answer to each question to the result. And then what happens is the person lands on a short results page that just says a few sentences, again, carefully crafted, strategized. So the results page for transmitters, for example, just says, oh, you got transmitter, that means you're constantly emanating a certain energy. It means your gift is somewhat invisible in the world of commerce until you like find an excuse for people to pay you for it. It just gives you enough that you're like, oh crap, she nailed me. You know, holy moly, like, this is a thing. And then it says, you know, to learn more, click here. That's the opt-in. So now that's kind of critical. And it's different on different quiz platforms. But to me, if you do a quiz where everybody opts in before they take the quiz, or it's mandatory for them to opt in, what you get is a bunch of bad leads. What you get is a bunch of people who are going to be mad at you, don't like it, aren't resonant with this. Instead, what I like to do is to either make the opt-in optional. So it's like, they're usually already digging it. You're like, hey, do you want to learn more? Give me your email. Do you want a full results package? Give me your email, or skip this step. I always have skip this step, because if they're not into it, please skip this step. Like, I don't want you, I don't want to have to pay and do emails all the time that you're not going to like. But yucky energy. So that's basically, they land on their results, the short results, opt in to learn more or to get your full results, click, and that takes them. And of course you can do a landing page sequence from there if you'd like to, which is fun, which I had, and now I'm in the midst of changing. So I don't think you'll find, no, I don't think I have a long landing page sequence right now because I'm changing it up. But you can, of course, you can send them email, right, with their results, and then follow up emails telling them more about their type. Guess what? They open those emails because it's about you as a transmitter. It's like, those don't feel like a bunch of spam like most things do.
Yeah.
And they're really deeply connective and compassionate. Okay. And the landing page thing, you can then take them to, when they give you their opt-in information, you can also ask a few more things in that opt-in process if you want to. You can ask, like, are you looking to start a business right now? Or are you looking to develop your intuitive gift? You know, just a simple couple bucket questions, or that's a good spot for them. And since I said the word bucket, like, I would just like to also acknowledge that, like, Ryan Levesque and some other teachers are doing a lot of lead gen quizzes. They teach lead gen quizzes. I took Ryan Levesque's training. It's fantastic. It's more about having the person specifically tell you what they want to buy. That's a bucket quiz. And then you can put them in different buckets. So this person was interested in buying this widget. This person was interested in buying that widget. That bores me, like, no offense. That's a nice add-on, but that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this compassionate quiz system. I'm more interested in the depth and quality of conversation, because I'm more interested in the depth and quality of client. So my way of doing quizzes is right for you if you've got a product or a service that is deep, transformational, complex, emergent, evolutionary, something that you can't just spurt out in one sentence and people totally get it.
Yeah.
That's when you want a quiz system like this.
And it's totally relevant for like a lot of coaches like me who do like the intangible stuff.
Yes.
It's like you can't, it's not like a one size fits all. Like I need to get to know the person and the journey. Yeah.
Right. And so by going through the process that you would learn about in that masterclass, I'll share with you, it's like you'll see, oh, that's the kind of process, how I would tease out some of the thinking I do about my clients subconsciously. Oh, there's a system there. I'm just not even noticing it because I'm ticking through those questions myself whenever I meet someone. Oh, are they this? Are they this? Are they this? Are they this? It's all happening subconsciously. Having a quiz like this puts it in their hands to do all that work for you. Which brings us to step number 3. So just to be clear, step number 1 was create your system, archetypes of people who come to see you. At least one of those types should be people you don't really want to work with so that you can tease out who you do and don't want to work with and what their concerns and their personality types and their communication styles are. That's your system. Number 2 is you build a quiz that is short and fun and gives that initial answer, but lightly. If you give them too much information with your first little quiz, with the 7-question quiz, they just become like, oh, they get overwhelmed and they don't want to work with you because you just rock their world too hard, you know? So instead you parse it out, just a little quiz. It will still rock their world if done well, but it'll rock it with so that they lean in instead of rocking it where they're like, crap, okay? The third thing is the follow-up. Because now that you've taken the quiz and learned, for example, that you're a transmitter, and got the short results and you've opted in, and maybe you've gone to a landing page where I welcome you and say, hey, you know, I get it. Here's what it's like for you. And I get it. And I care about you. And I want what you want. Right. So the initial, the connection is there between us. Now there are a series of invitations, just like in any marketing funnel. But after an initial quiz, often what you want to do is take them into a deeper assessment. So Ryan Levesque would call it a deep dive survey. He waits kind of, you do the buckets first, and then you go into a deeper dive and ask them what they really care about and what they, you know, what they'd spend and stuff like that. I call it the same thing, but you know, my first quiz has already kind of got them where they're like, oh my God, you know me, you care about me. Yay. You're probably already the person I want to work with, but yeah, let's do this deep dive thing. And then the deep dive thing can be as simple as what I would call a work with me survey. So they've taken your initial quiz, they've gotten some of the initial information, they're like, oh my God, you've nailed me. You've already seeded your work in what you've given them. And especially with transmitters, because y'all are intuitives, I'm just like, so do you already know I'm your person? And they're like, yeah, you know, great. So I've got this deeper survey that I flat out honestly call my work with me survey, work with Mellissa survey. It's like, I created this deeper dive for you to take to see if you're a fit to work with me. And if so, what would be the best thing to utilize me for? And they're like, great. So that just like, no more blind intro consults, you know, and I've got questions in there that are very connective and also enrolling if they're a fit. So this is not, I wouldn't call this soft sales. Like some people would say, oh, that's really soft sales. No, it can be very confrontational because now that I know you, like I know that you're a transmitter, I know that you have these concerns, I can say, look, you're telling me that you want to make $15,000 a month with your intuitive skills. What's keeping you from that? Like, why hasn't that happened yet? And is it this? Is it this? Is it this self-sabotaging mechanism? Is it this fear around money? Is it this old story you tell yourself? And that can feel confrontational if it's some marketing person saying, you have self-sabotage. But when the conversation's already open, I'm like, is it this one? Because a lot of transmitters have this one. Is it the fear of being burned at the stake? because that's common. I get it. Like if you speak out, someone will silence you, kill you, reject you. Okay. Like it's okay. Right. So I'm not berating you. I'm meeting you where you're at. So that's what the deeper dive survey can do. Okay. And actually, I'm pretty sure there's a piece on that in the masterclass I'll give you too. So,
wow, this is so good. Like, this is so in alignment with me, like exactly like you're saying, like, I'm not a super like salesy person. I don't want to just like close them. And a lot of like techniques out there that teach people how to enroll and sales. It's so like, it's like chasing. And I don't like that. Like for me, I want to connect. I want to get to know my client, potential client. And this is a powerful way to do that. So Mellissa, let me ask you.
Super fun.
Is this like your system, your process for lead generation and pretty much how you generate all your clients?
Yeah. Wow. So by the time someone gets on the phone with me for like what most people would do, an intro consult of some kind, because my services start, you know, at you know, around $1,000 is like the least expensive thing I have to do one-on-one. And that's like for a half an hour, you know, and then it goes up from there. Yeah. So I have like a $10,000, you know, VIP day, for example, where I just channel out your whole business plan and stuff like that. So because I'm doing larger priced things, I really need to show them the value of those things. And I'm not going to do that one-on-one to every single person who has a curiosity about working with me. So instead, what happens is they take the quiz, they learn about their type, and then they go with a process that shows them, okay, well, what's your real purpose here then? And what's your goals? What are your goals here? Okay, now deeper dive survey, like, so what do you really want? Okay, now from what I've already told you about yourself, can you just imagine how much more we could do, you know? And then invitations to get a free taste of me on a video or something like that. Like I'll show you the masterclass. Most people won't give you the level of content that I'm happy to share with you with a masterclass. Like that's something that most people would pay you, whatever, you know, $200, you know, charge you $200 to attend. I'm like, no, because I only have room for a certain number of clients. My practice is very full. So what I figure is if I show you through the deep dive survey, through sharing masterclasses, through things like that, and you're like, okay, now I really get it, the value of having Mellissa just download this stuff for me. Is that worth 10 grand? Heck yeah, that's worth 10 grand. I don't have to convince anybody of anything, right? Which as a transmitter secondary, as someone who just wants to serve, that's what we want. We want clients to come to us to know our value, to know what they're going to get, to feel confident in investing. And then all they really need to do in that call is just to kind of see that you're real. That's what I get all the time. They get on the internet. Wow, you're real. I'm like, yeah, you too. You know, they're like, oh, you're real. You know, so, and to determine exactly which type of session or program, or is it the business school, or is it a package, and blah, 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 blah. Like we figure that all out.
This is genius. Like it just saves so much time, energy, because like a lot of times you get on the phone calls with someone who's completely like kind of cold lead. They might have seen some of your content, but then like you have to do a lot of convincing to show them your value, to show them that you can get them from here to here. And that's exhausting. Like nobody wants to get on those sales calls.
Especially transmitters, because what happens is if you're not a transmitter, you show up on a call and you're like, okay, yeah, I do this, I do that, blah, 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 you know, do. But if you're a transmitter, you show up on every call like this. Oh yeah. Oh, I see. Yes, you are. Oh, you know, and you're emanating all this light, and that person might just really accidentally drain you for an hour. And there's somebody that's not even the right client for you. And you just spent an hour pouring yourself out because that's what you do. You can't not pour yourself out. So we have to protect you. You know, we have to protect our sensitives. And that's the reason why I do what I do for Reels is because I look around in the world right now and there's a lot of change that needs to happen. And I know that the gifted intuitives, those who have energy of evolution, those who are already working from a a different place, and who are deeply empathic. We need those people in leadership. We need those people to be the billionaires. We need those people to be leading the way. And so, you know, that's what really floats my boat, you know.
Oh, this is so great, so beautiful. I wish I can talk to you all day, Mellissa. I'm just learning a ton. I love talking to you, and I hope our listeners are enjoying this too. Like, this has been such a fascinating and fun. I love your personality too, Mellissa. So obviously, like, there is so much more deeper that we can go with this process. Like, this interview is just opening our eyes, opening our minds to what's possible. So with that being said, Mellissa, if our audience want to do your quiz, stay connected with you, how can they find you?
So here's what we'll do. So go take the quiz. That will teach you about the quiz. It'll give you the option of getting an email contact with me. It'll teach you about yourself. It's a win-win. So go to soulgiftquiz.com, SOUL giftquiz.com. Take the quiz. And if you want to be in conversation with me for whatever reason, then just opt in. Like, when it gives you a little thing, give me your email. An email you'll read. And then you'll start getting email from me about your soul gift type. So you're going to learn about yourself. It's going to be cool. And then you can respond to that email. If you want the quiz creation masterclass, just write back to me, quiz creation masterclass, please. Like, just say that. You don't have to make small talk with me if you don't feel like it. Just quiz creation or quiz class, please. Just write me back, and then I'll go find the link to that thing, and I'll share that link with you back. I'll just email you back. Okay. So we'll be in real person email conversation. Whoa. So the way to get there is take the quiz, opt in, and then email me back, quiz class, please. And I'll send you the masterclass. It's like a 90-minute masterclass on exactly how to build one of these quiz systems.
Got it. Okay. Wow. Thank you again, Mellissa. I just want to say
you're welcome.
I appreciate you so much for your time and your generosity, like, for coming on here and sharing such powerful insights. And everyone else, stay connected with Mellissa right now at this moment. I don't care if you hop off.
Yeah, don't forget to do it. soulgiftquiz.com. Yeah.
And then like Mellissa said, we need leaders like you to really rise up now and just really share your gifts with the world. So I will see you guys tomorrow on day 18. And bye, Mellissa. Thank you.
Thank you, Miko. Bye, everybody.